Hey everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about this ad or promo that we saw Harry and Meghan appear in. So as everyone else has already said, it was so staged. It was so staged that literally every single person I've ever heard from about this has said that it's staged. They've made a silly choice trying to make it seem so spur of the moment when it very clearly was not a spur of the moment thing. They shouldn't have tried to make it seem that way when it wasn't. They should have just let it be more authentic to what was happening. Framed it some sort of different way, I don't know. The use of the word surprise, I think, was a mistake. Archewell is one of 13 or 14 other partners to this fund. Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund. So Archewell is 1/13 of the funding. There were 26 grant recipients. That means financial partner and supporting partner to this organization perhaps sponsored 2 projects apiece. They publicized this as $2 million in grants to these 26 recipients. That would equal somewhere around $153,846 per donor. So Archewell appeared to be donating the full $2 million in this commercial. That was, I think, the impression most people walked away from, was finally Archewell is putting some of that leftover $10 million they kept to use. They just gave $2 million to this. Not correct. In reality, it's about $150K from each of these 13 to 14 donors to this project fund. So Archewell would be one of many donating about $150,000. Which also equals about $75,000 or a little more to each recipient, to each project itself. Each of the 26 got about $75K, maybe a little more. Depends on if they had like fees and processing fees and paid people to actually do this work out of the fund, or if they paid people to do the work separate from the fund as far as like the staff gathering this and making this video. So who knows what the actual projects, the actual recipients, those 26 people, who knows how much money they actually got. I wrote the Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund to ask to confirm if these numbers were reflective of what happened and to explain more on how the funding was collaborated on, and they declined to comment. So I can't confirm that that is for sure, but I mean, if looking at it and really reading it for what it is, that would make sense. Now on to the actual conversation and the actual ad itself. The thing that stood out to me most was how Harry and Meghan turned it back to themselves in that short chunk of time quite a bit. The phrase, "our kids are incredibly grateful." That was a bit of an awkward statement to make, and Meghan was like, "Oh, they don't know it yet, but they will be." Why did they leave that in there? That looked kind of awkward, kind of bad. Showed that they're not exactly on the same page with that they were kind of, maybe she didn't quite like what he said there because she didn't just let it be. Perhaps he could have tried something like, "We so appreciate your work creating a safer future for internet spaces, for technology spaces." Or, you know, "You're improving the technology space for the future, which is so amazing. We are so proud of you for that." Something like that. "This is going to have a huge impact for everyone going forward." Those sorts of things give that praise from the sentiment of a parent without directing it to yourself and putting your own self and kids in it, if that makes sense. It would have been a more polished and professional way to deliver the exact same sentiment in a way that was still keeping the focus on the people who are actually doing that work. Which leads me to the other thing Harry said that I really didn't like. It caught my attention immediately and I was like, what are you talking about? When he said, "This is why we do what we do." He's not really doing that much, and that's exactly what people are frustrated about when it comes to Harry and Meghan. They're not really actually out there doing all that much, because the problem, the very problem with having commercial interests and personal income gains paired up with we're doing all this charity and this is what we're doing, this is our identity, is like making the world a better place, connected and intertwined in the same person and the same couple in the same unit. That's the problem, is that they are conflicting interests, because then everything you're doing, you only have so much time to do it all. and you open yourself up to everything you do to be potentially self-serving or income-driven for yourself. And you're far more easy to criticize when it comes to how much you donate and how much you do and this and that. Private celebrities and private citizens who do donate to things are not criticized for how little they're donating unless they start talking about how much everybody else should be doing or trying to toot their own horn about how much they did. If they're just quietly going about their business and doing it and not trying to make a big fuss about it either way, people leave it alone and are like, well, that's nice of them, at least they're doing something. Harry and Meghan are robbing themselves out of that sweet zone that celebrities have by trying to force themselves into the box of these, humanitarian people who used to be in the royal family. They're trying to put themselves into the humanitarian box and they no longer fit into it. But instead of jumping on that and saying, this is why we do what we do to that girl who was trying to stop cyberbullying, what the accused bully could have said instead is that it's inspiring to see the work that you do. It's so important because that keeps the attention on them, the people who are actually doing the work. And of course, the director really didn't do Meghan any favors keeping that weird va that she made, that weird sound that was like va, va, vi. I don't know how she did it. But she made a weird sound when she was gonna halfway say bye and then said bye. It was so cringe and so strange and so awkward. That's what so many people say. She is really, really awkward, and she is. And the self-awareness isn't there. And when somebody does these types of things, it can really come across as full of themselves. And I think that's what we have happening here. And here's the bottom line. Some people are just unlikable. That's what Harry and Meghan are struggling with right now. They are just unlikable at this stage. In this moment, they have a very unlikable vibe, and there's not a lot they can do to fix it besides let things cool off and stop doing these types of things all the time. It's just not going the way they want it to. Some people think that this was recorded quite a long time ago and they delayed the release of it because of the car chase publicity being so bad. In which case I would say they didn't delay it long enough then, because people are still sour on these two. Leave in the comments what you guys think. Thank you so much for being here with me. I will see you in the next video. Have a happy day. Bye!